You're. Hey, we about to get right into this. We about to go. He's the strongest swordsman reincarnated 300 years in an all-girl world. Manhwa. Shout out to the Manhwa show. Let's
In a
get
room,
it
a
going.
girl was on top of a boy. The boy slowly opened his eyes and saw the girl. The girl then asks in a coquettish tone, "Oh, are you awake now?" As soon as the boy saw all this, he was shocked. Where was he? What kind of situation was this? The boy suddenly jumps away from the bed. Seeing this, the girl smirks and mumbled, "Did the effect of drug wear off so quickly?" Well, it didn't matter as people who were awake were much more attractive. The boy was getting more and more confused. Suddenly, he had a strange thought. Was he reborn? He starts remembering. 300 years ago, he had accidentally entered the fairy world at Chu Qing Mountain, and after that he began his cultivation journey. In those 300 years, he worked hard to gain knowledge, practiced day and night to become a swordsman cultivator. When he was about to reach the realm of eternity, unexpectedly, he didn't reach the realm of eternity but instead opened a hall of time and space and returned to Earth when he was 17.
So he went back in time.
But who is this strange girl, and what did she want from him? The girl calmly says, to come and sit near her and not be shy. The boy hurriedly wears a robe and replies that it was a misunderstanding. He would now take his leave. Hearing this, the girl stood up and arrogantly said, "Leave? That was impossible. She, Ichensi, had never let any of her pigeons escape. It was a blessing for him to even see her." The boy directly ignores her long speech and proceeds to leave. The girl was dissatisfied seeing all this and stops him from leaving. At that moment, the boy realized that this girl had too much strength. The boy then uses his other hand to free him from her grip, and they both clash using their strength. For the first time, this girl had a shocked expression. On the other side, the boy was cursing this garbage body as it didn't have much energy. The boy got blasted away after the girl increased her energy.
I was just about to say he's him. What did you thought was gonna happen, lady? Wait. Hey, maybe he's not him.
The boy thinks of something, and while doing so suddenly spots his school uniform. He then quickly takes it and hurriedly escapes the room. The girl had a surprised expression and thought to herself that this little boy was interesting as he could escape her momentum. But then the girl smiles and mumbles, "You could never get away from me, Chu Qing, as you are my big white rabbit. I would never let you go." The boy, Chu Qing, had escaped the room and was now in the
The big white rabbit.
street. Seeing the lively street from Earth after 300 years, he had a happy expression because finally he was going to meet his father, mother, and sister. All of a sudden, he heard the sound of a woman being dissatisfied, saying that men were really troublesome. Wasn't it only buying a bag? What was the need for him to cry? Chu Qing looks towards the source of the voice and found out a woman saying that to a crying man. The man instantly became happy and hugged the girl's hand and said she was very kind. Seeing the man behave like a girl, Chu Qing felt awkward. All of a sudden,
What is going on?
someone tells Chu Qing to move to the side and not block the road. Chu Qing was shocked to see a woman wearing a construction worker's dress and carrying bags of raw material that weighed more than 100 kilograms. He then saw that not only her, but everyone in the construction site was a female. There wasn't a single man within them. He turns around and sees that most of the people on the streets were also females. From being surprised, to getting shocked, to becoming terrified. What had happened? The people of this world were very different from when he used to live here. Was this really Earth? After some time, in Tianjin Library, a boy was reading many books at a fast pace. In ancient times, occurred between the season of spring and autumn, a cataclysm occurred. This phenomenon altered the women's physiology, making them smarter and stronger. Later, a woman named Kong Mo was born and she developed the ideology that women are superior to men. This caused the change in imperial power from prince to princess. In the 21st century, with the growth of society, the idea of female superiority and male inferiority began to change. But even so, the idea of valuing women over men still exists. When there is an extramarital affair, the man is said to be unfaithful and heavily frowned upon. Here it was normal for women to chase after men. The boy finally closes the book. Turns out the boy was Chu Qing. He thought this was crazy, women being superior to men and even women going after men is the norm here. If the world had become like this, then did his family also become like that? Chu Qing hurriedly goes to his home. After a while, he reached his home. As soon as he saw his father, he jumped into his embrace. It had been 300 years and he really missed him. His father, Li Yuan too, then asked him, didn't he say that he was going to his friend's house and was going to be late? Suddenly, his father got the smell of perfume from Chu Qing's hair and got angry. He then asked in an angry tone, was he with a woman? How many times did he tell him that it was not safe for a handsome boy like him to go outside, and even with friends he had to stay alert? His father, Li Yuan too, then continues saying, his sister has been fooling around home all day. She graduated from a third-rate university and couldn't find a job. Well, his mother and he also didn't expect much from her. But he should go to a good university. He was still young, so he had to be careful and not get fooled by bad girls. Chu Qing felt awkward and said that he was fine, so he shouldn't worry. He then asked where was Mom. His father then says that his mother was discussing business with people outside, and their business was not going well these days. Chu Qing felt hungry and told his father that he would go and call his sister. So he went to her room and slightly opened the door. That is when he saw her watching naughty things on the laptop. His sister, Chu Xiao, was enjoying the live stream. Seeing all this, Chu Qing slowly closes the door with a stupefied expression and suddenly shouts. The girl got stunned and came out of the room. As soon as Chu Qing saw her, he asked, were you watching porn? The girl then says that what was so good about that? At this age, watching live broadcast was better. There was a handsome guy in the video with a hot body. She then said it was not for little boys like him. Chu Qing just there with an awkward face. After a while, Chu Xiao came out of her room dressed in fancy clothes. She then said that she would go out and eat with her friends. So she would come late. Then she asks her father to give him 1,000 yuan. The father, being dissatisfied, said, why do you even need to go? Chu Xiao replies that she had to go out to socialize with friends and do business together. Hearing that reply made the man more angry. He threw the money towards her, and he said that she was always like this. She should learn something from her brother. If she was only half as good as her brother, then he and her mother wouldn't have to worry. Chu Xiao becomes happy and starts counting the money, while saying that why should she learn from him? He would marry some rich woman in the future, but she would have to struggle for herself. In the future, only she would be there to support her father and mother. After saying that, she leaves. His father then says to save some money, as it was not easy to earn. Chu Qing, with a worried voice, asks if it was okay for him to let her go. His father then replies in a frustrated voice, what else could they do? His sister was a girl, so he couldn't tie her down like they did to him. Girls had to go out and earn money, but for her sister, well, she should just stay out of trouble. Chu Qing just thought, what a feminist world this was. Suddenly, the door opened and Chu Qing's mother, Chu Tiannan, entered. Seeing her, Chu Qing rushed into her embrace. He had missed his mother very much in these 300 years. Seeing this, his mother was surprised and asked why he was like this. Did anything happen? Then she suddenly handed him a few bank notes. Seeing this, Chu Qing was aghast. In the past, his mother used to be so stingy that sometimes he had to deceive her just to get 10 yuan. but now she was giving him money like it's nothing. Chu Qing then returns her money and says he didn't need it. His mother smiles and tells him to keep it. She understood that Chu Qing was worried because the family business was going through a hard time. Her mother even tells him that his academic performance would not have any impact, so he should keep the money. Then his mother asked, where was Chu Xiao? Chu Qing's father replied with a dissatisfied look, not to talk about her. His mother then says that she is still fooling around, that's not how they raised her. Eventually she would realize the importance of her future responsibilities. Chu Qing's father then sits near his wife and starts acting shy. Seeing this, Chu Qing felt very embarrassed, even though he knew the world was upside down, but still seeing his family act like that, he couldn't accept it. Chu Qing's mother was telling her husband that men have an easy life, but women struggle a lot. Even though their little girl doesn't realize
They are wildin'.
the responsibilities now, later she would definitely come to realize it. Chu Qing thinks that would he be like this in the future too? That was just too disgusting. Chu Qing then goes to his room. As soon as he opened the door, he was shocked to see all the feminist decoration that was in there. Chu Qing then thinks, in this world women were way more respected than men. Every family always thinks of having a daughter, and this has grown over the last few centuries, making it a huge difference between the world's male and female population. That was to say, there were still tens of millions of women who were still single in this country. Women who wanted to marry a good man must have their own home and a car. As for men, as long as they were handsome, they would be pursued by women. Chu Qing then sighs. With a face like his, many women would pursue him. He then suddenly opened his drawer and was shocked to see so many love letters. And more shocking was that he was the school flower of Jinmen Secondary Middle School. Chu Qing then sits on the bed in a meditative posture. He was determined to cultivate, reach a higher realm, and leave this strange world as soon as possible. Chu Qing then starts cultivating. He realized that the aura here was very rich and pure. With this he could recover all his training as well as abilities that he had lost in the Hall of Time and Space. Then with that he could finally open the Hall of Time and Space and return to his original world.
So we're still him. Everybody know we're still like that. We loading up right now.
Time passed. After a few hours, Chu Qing's senses had sharpened, and his energy also increased a bit.
P.
He then tests his senses. He spreads as a thin strand of chi, and saw his parents being asleep, but he realized that his sister hadn't returned as her room was empty. He then facepalms himself. He realized that this world was upside down, and it was not surprising for women to stay out late. All of a sudden Chu Qing's phone rang. It was from his sister. He picked it up and then heard the flustered voice of his sister. She said to listen to her. She was in huge trouble. She then says to not tell their parents anything, nor the police. Hearing her sister's trembling voice, Chu Qing was alarmed and asked what happened. His sister then says that there was a black bag under her bed. He should bring it to her now. She was at Crescendo Bar in High Street. Before she could complete her sentence, she groaned and another female voice sounded. The woman then takes her phone and tells Chu Qing that if he doesn't want his sister to be harmed, then he should bring that bag to room number 302. Chu Qing cuts the phone. Suddenly a terrifying amount of murderous energy filled his room. Chu Qing's face became cold.
They don't know who they messing with. They don't know who they. I just ascended for 300 years. They don't know who they messing with.
He found the bag and directly jumped from the 6th floor. There was rage in his eyes.
Yeah.
He would never let anyone mess with his family.
It's about to be an ass kicking.
Chu Qing didn't go by road, instead jumped from building to building to reach the bar fast. At Bar Crescendo, room number 302. Chu Qing finally arrived. Chu Qing threw the bag on the table and asked the woman in white, who was the gang leader, to let his sister go now. The woman in white stood up and said to Chu Qing that he was way cuter than in the photos. How old was he? Chu Qing coldly replied that it didn't matter. The woman was angry, but after seeing the bag, she then opened it. The bag was filled with money. His sister got shocked and asked how was there money in it. Chu Qing looked at her like looking at an idiot. She didn't even know that there was money in the bag and she still kept it. There was at least $1 million in it. His sister got flustered and said that she was unaware that there was money in it. Lin Xiao had asked her to keep it for a while. The woman in white was angered and shouted, "How dare that Lin Xiao steal money from her?" Then she tells Chu Qing's sister to get out before she changes her mind. Chu Xiao then thanks her and takes Chu Qing with her to leave. But suddenly, the voice of the leader sounded once again, and she asked who told her to take his brother. Chu Xiao bit her lip and understood that it wouldn't be that easy. The leader then smirks and says, her brother was young and cute, she liked him, so he should stay here, and she should leave. Chu Xiao suddenly becomes angry and says that she won't let anyone touch her brother. She speaks coldly to the leader, not to involve his brother in their businesses, and to let him go. The leader then laughs and says, if she lets him go then she should be the one to stay here. She speaks
This better not cut off right before the butt whooping. I'm just saying.
Coldly to the leader, not to involve his brother in their businesses, and to let him go. The leader then laughs and says, if she lets him go then she should be the one to stay here. She was mistaken to think that they both could leave, at least one must stay here. Chu Xiao then shouts that she would stay here. Although her voice was shaking, she tells Chu Qing to trust her and go home first, she would come later. This place was not safe for a man. All of a sudden, Chu Qing steps up and tells her sister that did she think that her brother had no morals. Chu Qing then coldly says to the woman in white, did she really want him here? The woman stood up and her smile turned ugly. The woman then says to Chu Qing that he really wanted to die. She would take him to her bed and torture him in every way possible. Blood flew as Chu Qing slapped her, the slap so fast that no one could even react until it reached its destination. Seeing that his sister got terrified and covered her mouth from screaming. The leader got so angry that she covered her fists with chi and threw a punch towards him. Chu Qing also countered it with his energy. There was a massive shockwave as both of them separated. Chu Qing found this fight interesting. The women in this world were really strong, and he enjoyed the fight. The woman on the other side had her fist injured.
Oh, so he about to be throwing blows with all these women. So this is a manga about this dude about to be busting up all these chicks. Yeah. Here we go, man.
She shouted to her underlings to get him. Chu Qing smiles and suddenly jumps up high. He was going to use a move from his previous life. He then rotates like a tornado and lands in the middle of the gang. The shockwave was massive and all of them were sent flying. They were heavily injured, some were even unconscious. His sister was shocked seeing all this. She even thought if this really was her brother. As they were about to leave, they heard the sound of the leader. She had a gun in her hand and shouted, if they took one more step then she would shoot. Chu Xiao got scared and asked the leader to forgive her brother. The leader was full of rage and shouted that she would kill both of them. Chu Qing's face became emotionless. He was going to do something unprecedented, which he lived doing for the past 300 years, which dyed his sword in red. He then speaks to the leader, if that is what she wanted to do, then, before he could complete his sentence, the bar's gate opened and a beautiful woman with a smile appeared. She then calmly spoke, why wasn't she invited to this interesting party? I hope you enjoyed the video.
Hey, I did enjoy the video. I appreciate it, man. Big shout out to you. Link to his channel in the description below. We watch it part. If there is a part 2, we watching it. Make sure you see the channel. But we on for the ride for this one. He about to be throwing blows with all these females.